ahead, slow it down and take it no time. I gotta keep it rolling. Those windshield.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Gig Worker Rodeo Roundtable with Kim Side Money Plans. She was here last week, but she's are you better?
I am better.
All better?
All better. All good.
All better. And so we got Kim, we got Cheyenne, Gig Work Mama, and we got Mr. Tom Kelly. Michelle won't be here tonight. She's going to fight something that she should fight tomorrow. It's too long of a story. I know Kim knows it too, but something to do with traffic. She has to go fight this thing, and I said, "Go fight it." You know, she wants to. I mean, she should deserve to win on this. So, but we do have something here tonight, and I want to mainly because I know Kim knows about it. Kim's got emails about it. I sent it to a few other people who were like, "Damn." If you guys heard my podcast this week, I did put it up on YouTube as well. It was 50 minutes. I did tell you guys some information that we'll go back through after this piece that relates to the new DoorDash app trick about importing for customers, importing your reminders from iOS. That also allowed them access to something else that we're going to talk about. And it's not good. It's not good at all. But yeah, how's everybody doing? Let's say hi to the chat real quick before you guys get out of control. And sorry I was late with the links, guys. That was my bad. What's up, Miko? What's up, TN? What's up, Ellen? What's up, Traveler? Hey, how you doing? Tom Kelly, Steve, please text me the link. Okay. Hey, Fran. What's up, Gagan? And Thomas Mathis. Becky, hope I'm not missing anybody here. Driven Dad, how you doing, Tony? Tony lunch tomorrow. Tony can only eat mac and cheese and eggs because he had his wisdom teeth pulled.
Oh, sorry, Tony.
Yeah. What's up, NGB? How you doing? And man, if I missed anybody, what's up, Grandpa? How you doing, Dashing Grandpa? Or he's actually in here as Grandpa's Random Reviews. What's up, Luis? And yeah, you transcribed the audio. Yeah, I mean, guys, it's worth hearing. What's up, Buddha? And what's up, Ron? How are you guys? I hope I didn't miss anybody, but it's pretty crazy, actually. There's some stories that if we get to them, but I think that Tom suggested I cut this into two pieces, and I did, and I cut it at a perfect point where we can kind of talk about it. The whole thing is I cut out just the front and the end. So I think the whole thing total is like 15 and a half minutes, but it's in two parts. So we're going to listen to it and we're going to talk about it right after. What up, Geezer? What up, Geezer and Gator? I saw you guys both come in at the same time and somehow blended your names together. But we're going to listen to this. You guys are all in here now. I want you guys to hear this. Dasher with a story, basically. And as I said on the audio podcast this week, I now also have a whistleblower at DoorDash, an employee, not a driver. And it's taken forever for this to happen. And like I said on the audio podcast, I'll say it here too. Can I get any question answered? Nope. Can I get any details I want? Nope. I can get anything he slips to me. But it's somebody that I've had to go through somebody else. It's a para relationship. It's a whole long thing. And now it's a direct contact. And yeah, we're going to be going through some stuff for sure. But let's listen to this. I want to hear what you guys think, because we even talked about tip theft last week. And that was them paying up without even going to court and just saying, we'll just pay that, knowing they did it. So here we go. And then that way, nobody has to blow up Kim's emails either, because people have been asking her. So here you go. Here it is. Let's give it a listen.
Had stolen tips from DoorDash or skimmed tips from DoorDash. And it's usually determined that either the person is trolling, just looking for attention, or in another situation, it could be that maybe they received that order from a third-party app. And what I mean by third-party is it's like, it could be likely that the restaurant had the order received on their app or their website, and they may have been, let's say, short on drivers. So they contracted that one out to DoorDash from their restaurant. And in that duration, it's my understanding that they do have certain editing capabilities, meaning that, let's say a customer placed the order through the restaurant app or restaurant webpage and left a $10 tip before that restaurant contracts it out to DoorDash. And again, it's my understanding, they could alter that tip to be, instead of $10 for the DoorDasher, to $5 for the DoorDasher and $5 for their restaurant staff. That's my understanding. So if the DoorDasher picks up the order and it says $5, they drop it off and the customer says, hey, I hope you enjoy that $10 tip, and they complete the order and it reflects only $5, they may be under the impression that DoorDash shorted them on tips, when in actuality, it was a result of a third-party app instead. So again, there could be misunderstandings in that situation. I don't think it's personally ethical, but that's just my opinion, but it is legal. And again, that's one situation where it would be no fault of DoorDash. My situation, entirely different. This doesn't involve a third-party operation at all. No compromises through a third party. In fact, after almost 30 days and being relentless, I might add, I finally had DoorDash admit that there were missing tips. In fact, they paid me almost after 30 days the remaining balance. I have a voicemail recording of that admittance, as well as a screen capture of the balance to which I was owed almost 30 days ago. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, so let me go ahead and back up. Typical DoorDash day, I received a stacked order while I was on the road. I accepted it. After doing the drop-offs, I had a question about one of those drop-offs, so I called DoorDash support. And while they recapped the order, they also mentioned the tip amount. And it was then that kind of raised an eyebrow, because the tip amount she mentioned was not reflected on my earnings app. So I explained this to her. I said, what do we do? And she said, well, what you need to do is you need to, after your shift ends, close out the DoorDash app, wait 30 minutes, open the app again after it's been refreshed, and you should receive the remaining balance of your earnings. I thought, fair enough. So I followed those instructions. After my shift ended, waited 30 minutes, reopened the app. There was no new additions to my earnings. And I still didn't think very much about it. I thought, well, let me just wait till the next day. I'm sure that'll fix it. So the next day, I reopened the app. In fact, I tried this several times, and there's no new additions to my earnings. So right now, I have only received 50% of the tips to which I was entitled. And as most of you know, if not all of you know, DoorDash states that the driver receives 100% of the tips. And again, keep in mind, this is not a result of a third-party app. This is directly with DoorDash. I called DoorDash again. This time I'm at my house. And so I asked for the representative's name. I also asked for the event ID number, which I did on the previous call as well. And for those of you not familiar with the event ID number, every time you call DoorDash, they have an ID number which is unique. So that way, if you need to call back and follow up on a situation, they can reference that ID number for their records. So I asked for that information as well. Since I'm at home, I also did something as well as getting that documentation. When you call DoorDash support, most of you are probably aware that there is a recording. And on that recording, it says, this session may be recorded for quality assurance and training purposes, etc. That recording does not say only DoorDash may record this session. It does not say you do not have permission to record this session. Instead, DoorDash provides express consent for the session to be recorded. Again, the recorded message that is, before speaking to a live representative, states, this session may be recorded. And so since they have provided me with this opportunity, I did record the conversation. So when I spoke with this second representative, she pulls up the records, reads off that customer amount, and reiterates exactly what I was told the day before. So in other words, this isn't as though I called yesterday and there was a misunderstanding. I misunderstood the representative, or she was looking at an entirely different record. At this point, the second representative recaps the order, and reiterates what I was told the day before. In other words, I only received half the tip amounts to which I was entitled. Now, I should say tip amounts because she also recapped the second paying tipped customer. And it was also twice the amount than what I received. So I've got new information here, and it is recorded. And I said, well, how do we move forward? She stated that they would send me an email, and I would attach a screenshot of my earnings, and they would look into it. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, great. Once they look into it, it'll be resolved. But I was a little bit too optimistic, you might say. I hadn't received a call back, at least not in a timely manner, so I made a third call. This time I reach a gentleman, and he pulls up the account information, recaps the orders, but there's a peculiarity this time. When he reads off what his records indicate, they're identical to what my screenshot indicates. Now, of course, I can't make any conclusions, but I do wonder if once I sent a screenshot of my earnings, if someone in the DoorDash department did not go into those accounts and edit the tip amounts, reducing them 50% so they would only reflect what my earnings reflected on my app. And you would think at this point, if there's no tip discrepancy, unlike the first two calls I made, how would I move forward? But as I mentioned, I have recorded phone conversations with DoorDash since they have provided express consent that I can do so. So at this point, I play an excerpt of the previous call to this current representative where it is revealed that the tip amounts were actually twice what his current records indicated. At that point, the representative pauses for a second and then states that there has been a change to the tips. Those are his words, and I have that recorded as well. So at this point, I say, how do we move forward? I am told that a supervisor will be in touch. Eventually, I receive a call from a DoorDash supervisor from that team. This was a highly unusual call. Up until this point, everyone I've spoken with has been very professional and very direct. However, when speaking with this supervisor, it was quite problematic. First of all, she pulls up the records, and like the previous call, she states that the earnings showing up on her database are identical to what's on my earnings app. She will not budge. So at that point, I pull on an excerpt from the first call I recorded where the DoorDash representative read off tip amounts that were twice as much as what her current database is reflecting. And then I play her an excerpt from the next call where the DoorDash representative listened to that previous call, and his response was that there had been a change made to the tips. At this point, the DoorDash supervisor is providing no help. In fact, she is giving me roundabout answers, scripted responses. This is a DoorDash supervisor from that team, mind you, and providing no help. I do wonder if this call was not monitored by someone else and she was being fed responses to give me. I don't know that, but I do wonder because, again, I'm getting ambiguous responses. This call went on for a long time. In fact, after 30 minutes, I asked her a question, and I said, this is a yes or no question, and you can provide me with a yes or no response. Does DoorDash have the capability to alter tips?
What's up, everybody who's joined us to this time? We already know from last week that DoorDash got caught tip stealing in Illinois. The time period was from 2017 to September of 2019, and it affected, oh man, I'm going to get this wrong, 79,000 DoorDashers during that time. And they were pushed to, they were going to fight out, or thought they were going to fight out $11.5 million just for Illinois and just for that time period. They didn't. They said right away, nope, and just paid it. They got caught in California twice, and both times they just paid it. Now they're being charged in Illinois. Next week will be the dropping of 2020 to current for the same thing. And we're getting this guy. So does DoorDash have the ability to, how do you word that last question?
Alter.
Alter tips. I mean, we all kind of know they do, but Jesus. I mean, you're just going to put it out there. You're just going to like, yeah, we do. Like, and again, remember, he's speaking to upper echelon. There, when we're after we all catch a breath here, if anybody has anything to say, there is another 6.5 minutes, and it gets worse. So, and then it concludes. I already reached out to him. We're going to try and have him on the podcast next week. I do have another podcast I'm doing with Dashing Maverick. However, I will fit in odd things that need to happen. So I told him whatever. But also, like I said on the podcast, I'm speaking with somebody now too, who works at DoorDash. They're an employee, and everything. I mean, I've sworn up and down, and I have people who vouched for me that I would never, do anything wrong to cross anything. But I've already heard a couple things that I kind of figured. One of which is with what I was saying, the rollout of the reminders that now includes access to your battery, the customers. And they're now doing the old Uber trick. If your phone's under 15%, you will be charged more.
I don't get that logic. I really don't. I just really don't understand the logic behind that.
What do you not understand?
I mean, I get it, but to me, it's like, it's absolutely ridiculous is what it is.
But it's their way of scamming another dollar.
I know.
I don't understand. You can charge more of what? By whom?
I don't know, Tom, you and I have talked about this in the past with Uber and Lyft, but DoorDash now has access to be able to pull is it iOS reminders, I think? Reminders. And they can pull a shopping list off it and import it to Shop and Pays or whatever they're called on DoorDash. But they can, on the customer side, they can import that from that. When that access is granted, it's the same access that has the battery. And that's what it wasn't through the list, but that's how Uber and Lyft used to do that too. If you were at the airport, you were under, I think it was 17% battery charge. They increased the prices on you, the customer.
That is so crazy.
I mean, it's just.
I get it.
Yeah.
From like a business side, because you're like, oh my gosh, my battery's almost dead. I need to get there. Yeah. But that is so crazy that there's an algorithm that's going to go that deep.
I can't tell you the amount of times I've landed and I've opened Uber, and then I've even, let's say I've had a ride at some airport, somebody's picking me up. I still open Uber, close it, open, and like type in an address somewhere, right? See what it would be, close it, open Lyft, type it in, close it, and then reopen Uber. It always goes up within seconds.
I'm telling you, all these apps talk to each other. If we don't think that they all don't talk to each other, they do.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, and I don't know the technology. I wish Gary was here for the technology piece, but
I said this to Gary, and even he said,
I know they all somehow communicate with each other. I always find it amazing that all of a sudden, like, you finally get a DoorDash order, and then all of a sudden you get like you accept it, and you get like 3 Uber Eats orders in a row because they know that you got a DoorDash order. Like,
maybe it's just coincidence every second of every day.
No. they all communicate with each other.
No, but however, Kim, and I mean, Tom, you'll remember these days of rideshare when they absolutely did not communicate with each other. They did no data sharing at all. Even for the rape stuff, it had to go through police. Now you're right though, Kim, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
But there was a time when they didn't. They didn't at all. They shared no data.
Yeah, Thomas says it's creepy. It is creepy. It's creepy how much knowledge that they can get on the back end of all of these apps to know all of your hidden stuff. It's crazy.
And I can't speak for Androids, but I can speak for an iOS. When we always did the Para app, the iOS platform, and there's nothing wrong with the Android platform, don't get me wrong, but with the iOS platform, it's hard to submit how are they submitting things that says, hey, by the way, if Uber's installed, steal all their data and like iOS is not cool with that. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it'd be very easy to go, no, you can't have anything.
Yeah, after our live last week, I did a video just on this, and actually someone in the comments had a really good idea. Get with a whole bunch of dashers in your own area, and each one of you guys like just keep ordering DoorDash and just like put it as a hand it to me customer and almost like do an audit of your DoorDash orders and ask the driver after, you know, they dropped it off what their tip amount was, and like just keep record on how much they're actually giving the driver.
But who's going to reimburse me for the $100 orders I got to make?
Well, you're not going to do $100 order. Come on, you're going to do like
McDonald's is a $100
meal.
order on DoorDash.
Like you're going to do a Big Mac meal.
But let's listen to the rest of this before it goes out of our head, and then we'll be able to just move in, because I think this needs to be discussed, and I think this is good.
Her response was yes. This was a long call. In fact, I deliberately tried to make it a long call because I hoped that if someone was looking at the call volume and saw that this call lasted for more than 30 minutes, that it might raise a flag. It might go to someone who could get the results that I deserved. The only thing I was told was that they would look into it. That was it. Now, this went on for weeks and weeks. I made other calls in between this as well. Now, you might be thinking, why would you invest this much time? This certainly couldn't have been hundreds of dollars that you lost. It's a matter of principle. I earned it, I deserved it, and I wanted it. After nearly 30 days, the phone rings. I'm not in my house, so I can't record the call, so I let this go to voicemail. And on that voicemail recording is a DoorDash supervisor stating that I had been subjected to, in her words, missing tips, and that I would receive those missing tips. And this is nearly a month after the incident occurred. So I have in my possession that voicemail recording, as well as a screenshot of the earnings that I was supposed to receive. So at this point, you might be thinking, case closed. Not entirely. And I'll explain why. While waiting for this situation to get resolved, I had a lot of time to think. And one of my thoughts was, okay, it's not as if DoorDash called me after this assignment and said, Driver Dan, it looks like we've made a mistake and you only received 50% of the tips that you were entitled to. It's not as though when I called DoorDash support for something totally unrelated and they recapped the order, it's not as if they said, oh, wait a minute. It looks like you only received 50% of the tips to which you're entitled. It's not as though there was any admittance on their part or acknowledgement. It was by a fluke discovery that I discovered that DoorDash had only paid me 50% of the 100% tips to which I was entitled. So I found out. And that made me wonder. I have over 9,000 deliveries. Now, am I to believe that of those 9,000 plus deliveries, that this compromise on my tips only occurred once? And by a fluke discovery, I called for an entirely different reason. And by a fluke discovery, when they read off the entire assignment and mentioned the tip amount, was it discovered that I'd only received 50%. Only once out of my 9,000 plus deliveries, and I just happened to call on that particular incident. Those, to me, seem like unbelievable odds. And how about you as a dasher? Do you not think this may have happened to you as well? I don't know the answer to that. I also don't know the answer to how many other times this may or may not have occurred in my 9,000 plus deliveries. So that begs the question. So at this point, since it was ruled in my favor that I was subjected to missing tips, I wanted to find out if any other instances like this may have occurred without my knowledge. So I tried to reach DoorDash. You can't reach anyone in the California office, at least from my attempts. And when you try to find a DoorDash address for a particular department, that's elusive as well, at least in my experience. I believe, I don't know for sure, but I think I read that they have over 60 different departments. But when you try to find a specific department online or by calling DoorDash support, all you can get is one address, no departments. So at this point, I composed a letter explaining that I was subjected to missing tips. DoorDash ruled in my favor that I was indeed subjected to missing tips. And that leads me to wonder, of my 9,000 plus deliveries, how many others may have been compromised. Therefore, in this letter, I said that I am requesting an itemized listing of all my delivery assignments and payouts maximized by state law. The reason I made that request is because, for tax purposes, I always screen capture my pickups and my drop-offs so I can determine the mileage for tax purposes. So that way I can compare my records to theirs. This was sent as a registered letter. I have a copy of the registered letter. I have a copy of the envelope with the registration certification on it, and also a record indicating from the United States Postal Service when this letter was delivered. There has been no response. I need answers. I deserve answers. At this point, I have many options. The first, as you can see, is I'm going slightly public with this situation for other people to be aware. I could go further. I know if you've read online yourself, you've probably realized that New York Times has written several articles not exactly in a favorable light about DoorDash. And if I supply New York Times with screen captures, recordings, everything solidifying that everything I am stating is irrefutable, I'm pretty confident that they would run with this and it would get worldwide exposure. The only reason I've been a little bit reticent is because I've read that there are between 6 and 7 million DoorDashers out there. A lot of these people are income dependent on DoorDash. And if this reached worldwide exposure, I would imagine that there would be lawsuits, class action lawsuits. Stockholders may be a little reluctant to stay on board and may withdraw. Audits, DoorDash could pause operation. I don't know, maybe that could happen. And if it did, that would also affect a lot of people out there who depend on DoorDash for their livelihood. So I've tried to avoid going in that direction, at least so far. But I'm sure a lot of DoorDashers out there are also wondering, if this has occurred with them. Now, I'm providing you with a hypothesis, just a hypothesis here. But let's say that each Dasher has, on average, lost $3 of their entitled tips. Again, I'm just providing a hypothetical situation. If each Dasher had, on an average, $3 missing, and let's say there are 7 million Dashers, you multiply $3 times 7 million, that's $21 million, not in the hand of DoorDashers.
Anybody happy about that? DoorDash not taking enough already?
No,
I sent this to Mike Harubi, and here was his response, because him and I trade a lot of this stuff too outside of the podcast we do. He said, wow. He said, and he deals with a lot of this kind of stuff. And so he was talking about, he gets into, in a very short DM on Twitter, he gets into fraud litigation. And he says, as hard as it is to get at these companies, this could easily cause bankrupt for this company. He said that unlike the guy, though, he would not go to the New York Times, too mainstream, too New York, too easily turned. He said I would go to, and he gives me a list of 4 other things, including the litigation nonprofit that he works with. He said this testimony is exactly what successful fraud litigation depends on. Happy to talk at your convenience. I have a lot to say. That on top of other people, and Luis heard it, and Luis is putting it up on his channel. And this is one guy at a time when they just ran an article that for the 4th time maybe, trying to remember if there was one out of California. There were 2 Californias, and I feel like there was one out of it. But there were 2 Californias and now the Illinois one. So we'll just call it 3 just to be fair. But I do believe there's a 4th. But did you steal these tips at a time when they said, yup, and we'll just pay the fine? And now they're, even in those articles, if you guys are reading them, never does it clarify. And I think they would damn well clarify this. And this is why there's another lawsuit coming in Illinois. Why don't they clarify? Yeah, but we don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. In every one of the articles from last week about Illinois, they don't say that. They just say, we'll just pay the $11.5 million. Not even, aren't we used to these companies just lying to us and just saying, well, okay, yeah, I don't, I don't know. Maybe it was a automation error or whatever, like, really? Like, now it's just whatever, dude. We're stealing tips. You know it. Shut up.
Yeah, but if they admit to it, then they're opening themselves up to so much liability. So they're never gonna, like, they're not gonna admit to it now.
Never.
No.
But go ahead.
I said this before. I think I said this last week. I'm going to say it again. We put so much trust into DoorDash from a driver. Like, as a driver, we have to trust that DoorDash, trust being a very loose term, but we have to trust that DoorDash is giving us the pay that the customer put in the app. The customer has to trust DoorDash to make sure that the tip is going from the customer to the driver. And nobody except for DoorDash knows the exact amount that the customer has tipped and the exact amount that the driver is getting. They're the middleman in all of this. And they have the opportunity to manipulate whatever they need to manipulate to show profit during a quarter, to show that they're gaining money, that they're still profitable, that they show in the media that they're this best company ever, where you come and cross something like this. I mean, when the audio was going on, the chat was going on about, and I'll have to go back because some of these numbers were impressive. Thomas has 11,000 deliveries. Transport King had 5,300 deliveries. I just did my 15,000.
Kim did 15,000. Eric Berry did 1,700.
Yeah. So you talk we're not talking small chunks of change. If they're doing this to every driver, do you know how much money that actually really is?
Right. That's where I was thinking, Kim, is like what he said is very correct. However, I think he underestimated it.
Yeah.
Because I think he might have overestimated the amount of active dashers. I don't believe it's 7 million. I know it's up there. But nonetheless, even if that number shrinks, I think the number of times this could have potentially happened on people doing 15,000 like you and all these other super impressive numbers that a company should be stoked that you're doing that many, like, you're awesome. No, instead it's you could get chopped off the next day. Look at Nova. Previously Nova Dasher, now Nova Hustles. Marco's our friend. Marco was deactivated at 20 at the time, and now he's over 25, but he was at like 24,000 plus dashes. So for all of you out there that think that you have a lot, he had that, and that was 6 months ago.
Yeah. All I know is then, I'm looking at Thomas's comment right now. Everyone forgets their DoorDash is technically a tech company.
No,
they know. Well, they know how to manipulate the system in their favor is all I'm saying. If we're naive to
And Geezer just put in, he's coming up on 6 just on DoorDash, guys. These are just DoorDash numbers.
Oh yeah, I'm over. God.
Right.
Probably 25,000 at this point.
Right. But we're right. And here's my point. Maybe even Uber Eats and other things aren't right on the up and up either. But this, I have always said, I highly question DoorDash on a different ethical basis than any other gig platform. And I think they've had the foothold on the United States forever. They're losing it. I mean, Uber Eats is just kind of waiting in the wing. Plus, I was going to mention, I did talk about this on the podcast. So those who listened, and I was very hesitant to put the podcast on the channel publicly because I very much went off this week, big time. So be warned. I threw a lot of things under the bus, all factual, all fact-based, put all the references in the notes. And I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, there's just no end to this. And at this point, like, I got to tell you, Kim, when I talk to people that say the hidden tip, and I can go back to the Paradays and all this, but the hidden tip now, it seems to be, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to be that a lot of people I know, the hidden tip is now like 50 cents. Pretty commonly, even.
Yes and no. But what I'm thinking, and this is what goes on in my mind, is I feel like DoorDash sometimes thinks Dashers are stupid. We're not stupid, especially those of us who have had thousands of deliveries, right? We know, at least I know a lot of my customers, and it's, to me, very coincidental that a customer that like a year, 2 years ago would tip like 25% and you would get like a $25 order out of it, or even a $30 order. And then like a week or so ago, you do it again, and all of a sudden you're getting like $12 or $15. Like, yes, somebody could have spoiled it for them, but what's the coincidence that a lot of these customers that like you have a good working relationship with them, they see Kim on the screen, they're like, oh my God, Kim is coming. And it's not the same that it was. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Coincidental? I don't know, but I don't believe in coincidences.
So Eric says, and what about Uber Eats? Have they been? Yeah, absolutely, Eric. They're undergoing a RICO right now, in which that was part of my audio podcast. You guys, if you go listen, you'll get the full part of it. But I talked about how under the Uber RICO, just this week, Uber threw DoorDash more under the bus. It was basic. Think of it like this. You can go listen to the podcast for the whole, but they're like, Uber Eats is like, yeah, we're doing that, but DoorDash does it worse. And I'm thinking, it's already RICO, doesn't matter. Once they pass the RICO, it doesn't matter. It's going to apply to all of you. Doesn't matter.
Wouldn't it be
you don't
funny
need to throw anybody under the bus.
Wouldn't it be funny if one gets caught, they just keep throwing, like, like if, and I don't know how else to put it, but if one gets caught, like they all start throwing each other under the bus, because you can't tell me that all these CEOs don't know each other and what they're doing. So it actually would be like really funny if that actually happened.
Okay. Ron is saying something about real-time fraud here. Well, I'm watching Dashlink fraud in real time in Providence, Rhode Island. I was 125, 171. Now I'm 141, 144, 203. What is that?
I think he's talking about the Dashlink wait list, which is bogus.
Oh, okay. So, out of 200. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Everybody's complaining about
So, what
Dashlink.
he's saying is he went up 19 and the total went up 32 of the wait list, and he moved up the wait list, not down.
Yeah. A lot of people are complaining about that. Like that they can't even, the numbers are just absolutely ridiculous. I don't have one around me.
Already happened. Company in Europe, Wonder, bought Grubhub last week.
Yep.
So, but I don't know, guys. This is, I mean, we can all say, yeah, we kind of knew this. But this is a person that's coming out and saying this. There's a ton more. I mean, look at the numbers. Like, look at Geezer's numbers. What Geezer say? He did 6. And then somebody said, you're the only one that gave that kind of stat. Because he was like, I've done 6,000 or 7,000 DoorDashes alone. But he's like, but I've easily passed up 66,000. So he's seen 72,000 and taken 6,000 or something. I don't know. It's just sad to think of these stats. I remember doing that with Marco too, because when I was when I had one of the times I had Nova on, I was thinking about his numbers, because he's like, I probably take 15 out of every, or what was it? 15 out of every 150 orders, 200 orders, offers. I was like, that's horrible. Like, you know, like if this algorithm's so smart, why don't you quit sending him 180 or whatever it is, 185 orders you know he's not taking? He's obviously one of the most, has the most dashes under his belt. So like you clearly know what he does and doesn't take. Why the hell would you waste the data?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And he used to show his except I haven't watched his videos in a while, but he used to show his acceptance rate all the time. And it was like 6-7%. And you would see his market's very busy. So he gets a lot of orders, but they're not good.
I mean, so like here, like Sleep Vision says, Grubhub is the OG food app. I wonder what Wonder will do to make it better. What can they do? And I'm being honest, like Amazon they didn't full blown do everything Amazon could, but Amazon partnered with them and gave the service for free for 2 years, and it still had to sell. If Amazon can't sell you, I'm not sure you're sellable.
No, absolutely, you're right.
You know, I mean, seriously, if you can't sell yourself, if Amazon, not only Amazon selling you, but Amazon selling you for free, we'll give you this free food service. So you don't have to use, I mean, I know they were still upcharging and whatnot, but so you don't have to use DoorDash and Uber Eats. Right. And then it's like, no, we're still failing.
Ever since that happened, though, I have to tell you, I haven't used Uber Eats or DoorDash. If I'm going to order something, which is a very rare occasion, I do through Grubhub because it's free delivery. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, you know, I mean, I was talking to Tom about this before we did this today, and he was like, "Oh, I thought today might be a happy episode." I'm like, "Oh." Well, that kind of went out the window.
I mean, but that's not what we're here for. I mean, like we can when it's just like, you know, I don't mean this mean, but like when people get killed and stuff, that's not something we dwell on here because it happens every week. So don't let you think that that's not happening when we don't talk about it. It's just we don't want to. Rideshare Professor documents that every day. So there you go. He's like, the database. Just went down
like a really dark rabbit hole and it kept getting darker.
Well, I mean, how do you come out of this? How do we come out of this dark hole? Can we talk about Uber? Oh, I know I had something good on Uber. I had a few things on Uber. Tom, did you see that Uber is thanks to the FAA, Jobby Aviation is partnering up with Uber. Again, guys, you might have seen me do this a while back for the third time.
Yeah.
Again, these companies are such a joke. For the third, we're going to partner up with Jobby Aviation for the third time. Third failure, huh? Third time's the charm. Uber and Lyft unintentionally sent gig workers' social security numbers to TikTok. So those of you not on TikTok didn't even have my social security, and Kim and I have TikTok accounts. And a lot of you, I understand, don't go on there for privacy reasons, but there are names tied to your socials that were leaked to TikTok this week from Uber and Lyft. And here's the thing. On the audio podcast, I said, but Uber and Lyft isn't going to do anything for you. However, they're sorry. And then I had to go back and say, wait a minute. I actually just read the story. They're not even, it doesn't say they're sorry. They're not sorry.
All right. Well, if they say they're sorry, it means that they admit to something that they did wrong.
But they did admit to it. But they did admit to it, and they didn't say they're sorry. I mean, if you're going to admit to it, at least say you're sorry.
But in what context was this information shared? That's what I'm very confused about.
What do you mean? Oh no, this is just you can Tech Explore, TechCrunch, all the has the Uber, Lyft, and the SSN. That's everywhere. In Gadget, there's ones everywhere. So that one you can, if you just Google Uber, it'll come up on the first page right now. So, also because of we're not taking, this is nothing political, but because of the presidential election and the ties with Eli, Uber's been taking a beating all week. I talked about this on the audio podcast too, because like I have an article here that was titled "Self-Driving Deregulation Soon." Really? Because they don't work. And the reason is with Eli and the new administration coming in, that's one thing that they're going to, You know, like, well, we don't need regulations. Just let them go. Like, no. We all have kids, guys. Don't do that. You know? But yeah, the Uber and Lyft thing. This is from when was November 17th? Was that the last Thursday we did one of these? No. Oh no. That was this week. And Uber and Lyft got caught, or not caught. They admit it. They're using the battery thing again. They're again using customer battery against you. It's because the holidays are coming up. If your battery's 14%, you landed in an airport, you're going to get charged a lot more on both apps.
That's so crazy.
And DoorDash has the ability now. If you sign, only if you sign up to allow on your iOS. I don't know about Androids, but on your iOS, if you allow them, if you're a customer and you allow them to access your reminders list, which you can make shopping lists that can be imported directly. If you do that, you're also allowing them a couple other things. The biggest worry being that that they can now access your battery power. And that obviously, why would you want to do that unless there's something deceiving to it? If anything, why wouldn't they want to access dashers to make sure that we're not running to give us a warning? Hey, you're under 15%. Don't let your phone battery die.
Uber does that.
I'm saying, why not do that though for the dashers? Don't like say, hey, I like what Uber does, where they just tap into the customers that we charge a lot of money to and also steal their battery power so we can charge them more. And let's steal the driver's tips.
I was going to say, or, hey, driver, you're at 15%. I'm going to take $3 more away from you because you're under 15%.
Yeah, I mean, there's another one here. Where this one? This is from TechCrunch, and the title of this one is Uber and Lyft unintentionally sent gig workers SSS numbers to Meta and TikTok. Sorry. Or they're not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're not sorry.
How do you unintentionally do that?
No, I'm not sorry at all. I'm sorry that they did that.
That's so
crazy. You are sorry.
Well, and then the other ones, let me just see if I had the Uber's new feature. I saw this on Forbes to reduce the stress of the holiday travel is they've integrated their fake travel app again. And I'm sure we all know they're not going to beat Google Flights, guys. You're going to get ripped off to the T. If you're booking flights through Uber, then donate each of us panelists $500, please, because you must be extremely wealthy. And we could all use it for the holiday season.
But who would even think to turn to Uber to look for flights? Like,
they're just trying to be the app that can do anything. Like,
doesn't click.
You don't need anything except Uber. Just open it. Okay.
Yeah, they said they want to provide everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, Elon Musk has this idea for Tom. I think you were one of the people that told me about the robot that he wants to put in your house. I mean, when I heard the price on that, I was like, damn. Like, he wants everybody to have this $65,000 robot that can do everything for you at your house.
Didn't I see? I could have sworn I saw a video where I think it was Kim Kardashian that has one already.
Does anybody have the Jetsons theme song in their head? Because I'm kind of singing it right now.
Totally.
I mean, look at JPC90 just said they're selling Christmas trees. We talked about that last week. They're also selling Mattress Firm, guys. I mean, this is a company that has no idea what they're doing except for they love stealing tips from drivers and ripping off their customers and treating their business partners horribly. We have to rip you off to the T unless you upcharge all of your items 30%. What? That'll make our customers pissed. Well, that's how we roll, you know. This is DoorDash. So it should be called Steal Your Money Dash. And be thankful if you get a French fry. That should be the full title of the company.
This is worse than an Instacart rant.
So Instacart's off the hook for a little bit. Uber's in the crosshairs, or DoorDash.
Next thing you know, what's going to come out of your mouth is stop doing DoorDash and do Instacart.
But Tom had a good idea, and I'm going to let him do it because Tom used to do this to end on the weeks before we went into a holiday week. Because next Thursday, guys, obviously we won't be here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But Tom used to do the Driver Nation before holidays. He'd always end it with something holiday-ish related. So maybe we can come out of this dark hole tunnel with Tom.
So I'm going to start with Kim and, well, Shiana, you guys already did your Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, ours was in October.
Yeah. So I'll start with Kim, but everybody who's listening in, you can type in your answer. What is the side dish that if it's not on your plate on Thursday, it's just not Thanksgiving?
Stuffing.
Stuffing? You
Yeah.
got to have the stuffing.
Gotta
Or
have
should-
stuffing. Yep.
Okay. And how about for the rest of you? What for me? Okay, this is going to sound weird but y'all haven't necessarily had it. You certainly haven't had mine. It's asparagus casserole.
Oh, I don't think I've ever had asparagus casserole.
It doesn't
You-
sound bad to me, but that would not be my pick.
If you ever tried it, Steve, how about for you?
I would need every side item, and I'll forego my turkey.
Okay.
Or go turkey?
You'd rather
I don't
have-
want to, but I'm saying usually I don't know, Thanksgiving dinners that I like going to have amazing sides. Everybody brings a side, and they make what they make the best.
Yeah,
So like you get the green bean casserole, you get the stuffing, like Kim said, you get the mashed potatoes, and not just normal. Somebody went out of their way and took 3 days making mashed potatoes, and they're
When-
bringing you this like.
When you
you're
get
"What
like
the hell is
leftovers,
this?"
does anybody ever just do like a side leftover dinner? Like I do that
Yes.
all the time. Like I
Oh,
literally
yeah.
just have sides for dinner as leftovers.
Yeah.
I can have turkey anytime, but man, there's nothing better than the sides. I have to tell you.
Well, the sides, a bit of each of the sides, along with a turkey sandwich the next day while watching football.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. All right, so online we've got green bean casserole, a couple green bean casseroles, yams. Yeah, I could
You
live
lost
with
me
that.
on yams.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, not a yam fan.
We got a bunch of green bean casseroles.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed that. It's pretty popular for you guys, huh?
Cranberry
I feel like-
sauce.
Maybe for Christmas we should do like a cookie recipe swap of some sort. Can we do that online?
A cookie? What if we don't have a cookie recipe?
You don't have a cookie recipe for Christmas?
No, I don't have a cookie recipe.
He was like, what?
No, no, no.
Do I, honestly, I'm going to say something. Do I look like I have a cookie recipe?
Dude,
Tom, do you have a cookie recipe?
I do. My chocolate
See?
crinkles are to die for.
Oh, see, I thought he was going to say his wife.
Yeah, chocolate crinkles, awesome.
And so, Cheyenne, we didn't even get to you. So, first of all, you eat a turkey at Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Okay. We already established, guys, if you missed it weeks ago, we established there's 2 Thanksgivings, and we already knew that, but we looked it up and it was like they landed in the wrong place and came back down or something. So that's why the
Because they
dates
landed
wrong.
here first.
Yes.
So that's why. Yeah.
So is there anything that differs? What are your sides?
Well, it depends, right? So I've had Thanksgiving at friends' houses before that are from a different culture, and the food is very different versus, Caribbean food. So yeah, I saw the green bean casseroles and that stuff, and I was like, this is interesting. But usually for us, there's, sweet potatoes, what you guys call yams. We have Caribbean food, so there's fried plantain. Some people would have what they call kalaloo, which is like it's would that be like a spinach thing? Kind of like a spinach thing, but it's just made so good. It's delicious. Yeah, you guys are making me hungry right now because I didn't eat yet. But it's a lot of, and obviously you have the stuffing, you have, the mashed potatoes or whatever kind of potatoes. There's usually macaroni pie,
Wait,
different kinds
macaroni
of
pie?
rice.
What's macaroni pie?
I like
So macaroni pie is, anyone from the South would also know what that is, but so pretty much, let's say you take macaroni and cheese kind of thing, but not like box macaroni and cheese, that you actually take the cheese, you grate it yourself, you mix it, you make like a, whatever they call it, like
A
melted
roux?
cheese, whatever. You boil your macaroni, but you don't boil it so that it's soft. It still has to be a little bit like al dente kind of thing. And then you pour the cheese on top of it. You have some seasonings, obviously, because you got to cook with seasonings, and sprinkle some shredded cheese on it, and you put it in the oven, and then you bake it.
Like, is it on pie crust or is it just like
Nope.
a casserole?
No, it's called macaroni pie. I really think it's called macaroni pie just because they put it in the oven and they bake it, because there's no pie crust. Like,
We just call it
So
bacon.
is it this?
yeah.
You don't. She
Yeah,
doesn't like the way you worded it.
Nah.
Because macaroni pie sounds so
That
much
just seems
better.
so American. Like, anytime I see Americans talk about it, they're like baked mac and cheese, and I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, remember she lives in one of the countries that also cares about their food.
Yeah,
Like they have
food is
they have better
huge.
food than we do. Like they don't have the
Food is
pesticides and
huge
things to
over
kill
there.
us.
Yeah,
Like, you know, I can't remember what I heard about McDonald's fries. Like in Europe, they have 5 ingredients. Here, they have 71.
yeah, that's crazy. But like a lot of people now are doing those comparisons because you guys are really
They're
trying
so
to get rid
good.
of all of those like artificial colors and stuff in your foods. And they're doing a lot of comparisons between here and the States. And I'm like, why do you have so many ingredients in something when we just have, you know, fruits as the coloring versus using artificial
Red dye number 3.
whatever.
That one was
Yeah, it's
one was
scary.
taken off the shelf. I remember when my son was a kid and played with Thomas the Train. Thomas the Train, the wooden one, was done in lead paint,
Oh.
red dye number 3. And kids, they eat.
Of
the
course, it's in
train.
their mouth.
Yeah,
It's,
dude, are you kidding me? And
Wow.
they're like, wait, don't
No.
use the Thomas red train. Like, what?
oh my goodness. Oh wait, so hold
We
on.
accidentally
Sleep
shoved a
Visions.
bunch of lead in it.
Who's Sleep Visions? That was Gigwise, right? I think Sleep Visions is Gigwise. Anyways, he wants me to explain poutine. So poutine is not a Caribbean thing; that's a Quebec thing. But I will explain it perfectly well.
Well, no,
So imagine
plantains
you
are
have-
also like a Miami thing. So I don't know. Like, when
Yeah,
I lived in
because Miami has a lot of people from the islands and Mexico, so they're
right? Oh, you're
they're
saying it
bringing
is from
that
there. Yes, it is
inspiration
from
in.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally not an American thing.
Right. Yes.
But poutine is French fries. So picture French fries. You have cheese curds. So the real way to make it is with cheese curds. So you know that squishy cheese that it doesn't even have to go in the fridge. Like when you bite into it, it like squeaks. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Anyways, cheese curds, look it up.
That's what she said. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I will never look at poutine the same way.
Yep. And what's the number for HR?
I know, right?
Just
So,
called
yeah,
DoorDash
so-
support.
So it's the French fries, the cheese curds, and then like a gravy that they pour on top, so it melts the cheese, and you eat that. That's a poutine. That's
So a
what poutine is.
plantain that I'm thinking of is a banana.
Yeah, so
Well, I think you're
plantain is
thinking of
kind of
two
like
different
it's
things.
not a
There's-
banana.
Okay.
It's-
I think there's two different things. There's fried plantains, and then there's poutine. There's two different things going on.
Yeah, that was two different things there. So I was explaining poutine with the fries and the cheese curds and the gravy because it was asked in the chat. And then yes, plantain. You could get boiled plantain. You can get fried. You could do.
Well, I
whatever
saw
you want.
plantains too. Sleep visions.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, no, I saw it up there.
Okay, just to be clear, we're not talking about poutine.
No,
We were.
well, Steve was.
Cheyenne get uncomfortable.
Oh,
Wow.
Maybe not.
not at all.
All I know is it's a Canadian dish.
Yes, it is. Poutine it's definitely a Canadian dish. It's more a Quebec dish than anything.
That's Tom. You got another turkey jive thing, or
That's all I got for you tonight, Steve.
all right, guys. So you guys, here's my challenge for you for Thanksgiving. Make something that you make amazing and take it to Thanksgiving, even if it's not related to the holiday. Just do it and be like, "What?"
I'll bring it Thursday after next, since you can all try some.
And then you can come back and tell us next week what you did. Like,
Right.
I took steak bites and I made them myself on the grill, and I wrapped them in bacon, and do something.
Steak bites, really? That's what you're
I
going
don't
with?
know, man. I live in Colorado. We eat a lot of meat. I've never seen it done. I might do it. Who knows? But I would not give up, guys. I don't want to give up the turkey. So just so you know, I would like to eat the turkey too. But I'm kind of with Kim. If I was on a desert island and all I could have was the leftovers the next day, I'd take the whole pan of stuffing.
Yeah.
Like, just give it to me.
I don't like stuffing.
All right, guys. Maybe you just haven't had American stuffing. God, that even sounded disgusting. I gotta go. I gotta go. You guys, we love you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
Bye.
Why we're slapping